Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. It's going to be a terrible show today. It's a tragedy that we don't get to see very often here in our home state, just a few hours away, and places that we've recognized. Most of us have been to that area or hung out or know people or have family that's somewhat close by. But the flooding in the hill country, it's got to tear you up. And it tears you up because it's innocent people. You know, it's not like soldiers dying in a war zone. It's not like gangbangers getting shot in a drive-by. There's a lot of kids involved, so that tugs at your heartstrings as well. And it has no blame. Now, some people will try and blame. We'll talk about that later in the show. I don't want to talk about the politics just yet. But sometimes you just live in a flawed world and you're not guaranteed tomorrow. Even if you're an innocent kid who never did anything wrong. Just living your best life. Summer camp. Probably having the time of your life. But for you, you can relate to that. And you should. Because you never know when you might be done with this world. You know, so a lot of people take that as a sign that, this is a scary place. I'm scared to go out and live life. No, that's not what you should take it as. You definitely shouldn't see politics when you see a tragedy like this. You should see this and just be grateful that it's not you, that it's not your kids, that's not your grandkids. I don't know what phase you're in life. But personally, we can all relate to it because, like me and Miss Parker, the kids drove us nuts all weekend. We have 4 kids, 9, 11, 13, 14, and they just bicker back and forth. And it's summer, so they're together all the time, and they're so sick of each other. And overall, they're good kids. But it just drives me and Miss Parker nuts. They fight about everything, who gets to sit in front or who gets to sit in the middle or who gets to go first, or who got more at dinner, or who get more attention from mom or dad, or it's my turn, your turn. Yes. I know your kids give you all kinds of stress too. I don't know how old your kids are. I don't know what age they're at, but I know whatever it is, it's probably a pain. But you know what? At least our kids are still here. At least we get a little bit more time together. It might be done for us tomorrow. It might be done for us next week. It might be done for your kids. Not everyone gets to live a full, happy life. But you know what? At least for now, we're still here. You're still here. Your kids are still here. And if your luck continues, you get to have another Thanksgiving and Christmas with them. 89 families don't. That's the latest death toll. 89 now believed dead in the Central Texas flooding. I want you to hear that. And if you're sad about it, that's okay. Be sad. We can't be happy. We can't be comedians every day. Just can't come in here and tell burp and fart jokes and make fun of Democrats. But make this appreciate your day. You know, it kind of snapped me out of another funk I was in this weekend. We got some medical bills for one of my kids. He's having some health issues and another $8,000. And we don't have it. And we're already just drowning in credit card debt. We're overextended. We're both working. 4 kids. You know how it goes. Suddenly you hear this story and, man, that medical bill doesn't really matter as much anymore. It's just money. At least he's still here. So tomorrow we're going to talk about the economy. We'll talk about the Epstein list. We'll talk about all other stuff, and it's important too. But I think today, if you don't mind, we're just going to talk about the flooding here. Because I know there's a lot of people listening in this metropolitan area of almost 8 million people who know someone who might have family members who were affected by this, if not killed by this. We'll share some of the stories. We will talk about the coverage of it too, because that's absolutely nauseating. And there's some lessons to be learned there. But can we all just be a little more appreciative today? When you see 89 families are going to have a seat missing at Thanksgiving in the state of Texas, when have we had a tragedy this bad? Yeah, exactly. This is almost like a Hurricane Katrina level event. except that happened in a city. So it's a terrible day. I'm not happy to tell you these stories, but there's also the helpers in there. There's also the good stories. There's also the stories about how the people risked everything to protect kids that weren't even their own. There's a story about kids who went to this camp for 8 years growing up, and they loved it so much that they immediately turned around and became camp counselors. And these 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old adults risked their lives for kids. There's a bunch of first responders out there right now that hadn't slept in about 54 hours or something ridiculous like that. So we'll talk about all this today. 800-288-9227. If you want to share your stories, if you know someone who was down there, if you were down there, I'd like to hear your stories. Anything that's a first-hand or second-hand account, you'll be welcome on the show today. If you've never called a radio show before, this is a terrible reason to get started, but we'd love to hear your story and pass it along to everyone else that's listening. Because even if it didn't affect me personally, but it sure does hurt to see on TV all my neighbors suffering. Coming up next, State Representative Brian Harrison on the Texas flooding tragedy. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Terrible day in the state of Texas as the death toll actually got ticked up since the show started. We're now at 90 dead in the Texas flood, and I hope it doesn't go any higher than that. My next guest, State Rep Brian Harrison, who's a regular on the show, is joining us. And thank you for joining us. Do you have any personal connections? Do you have like a neighbor or a friend or a family or someone that was caught up in any of this, Brian? So, is there any role that you guys have to do at the state house for this? I know if there, when they had the disaster in North Carolina, the federal government came together and Congress had to pass some sort of bill to get relief there. But y'all don't do something like that at the state level, do you? Yeah, and as far as the political stuff goes, we'll do that in like the second half of the show over here. But I would like to go ahead and start with the baseline of I think most people have had the appropriate reaction, and some of the audio I'm going to be playing later is from what has to, I hope to God, be a fringe minority of our Team Blue neighbors who think that way. But so I didn't see the announcement that this is going to be in the special session. Can you give me any more details of what he asked out of you guys? Man, that's a pretty powerful position to be in. You can just mandate what's is and isn't going to be on the agenda. That's we really trust our governor with a lot of power there. All right, we're talking with State Representative Brian Harrison. His district's kind of the Midlothian area south of where I'm sitting right now. When you go back to your special session, you may or may not be able to deal with some of this flooding issues. When is that? Is that next week or the week after? Right. And well, along that thought there, for the reporting I've seen is everyone was on the ball. Everyone, no, there didn't seem to be anything that fell through the cracks there. And I think everyone did their job and the place was staffed well and the alerts went out. It just happened overnight. All right. Well, thanks for coming back on the James Show under such for a dire story like this. I appreciate your insight and thanks for telling us the info about the special session there. Some of that was new info to me. State Rep Brian Harrison, y'all. Thank you very much, State Rep Brian Harrison, Midlothian. Coming up next, if you have any stories, do you know anyone who was there? Were you there? Were your kids down there? Do you know someone down there? Did you ever go to Camp Mystic or Camp Hunta? 800 288 9227. 800 288 9227. And we're going to look at this claim. Could budget cuts even have had any effect whatsoever on the outcome of this terrible tragedy? We'll continue to talk about it on The James Show. News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Flash flooding in the Hill Country. The latest death toll is at 90. Devastating natural disaster for our neighbors just a few hours south of us. If you have any stories to share, 800-288-9227. Trump was asked about it over the weekend. I have audio of that. We got a lot to get to here, but you know what? If you have any sort of connection to what happened, your personal story would be a welcome addition to the show. 800-288-9227. This is Steve in Weatherford. You're on WBAP.
Hey, James. In 1937, there was a gas leak in a school in a small town in East Texas.
New London.
300 students and teachers. But what we did was we said this will never happen again. And so odorant and gas and a whole lot of smart ways to handle gas going forward have very well precluded that thing from happening again. We're at a moment in history where we should say as Texans and in the nation in general, never again will something like this happen. We will put in place everything necessary to warn our ever-increasing Texas population of Mother Nature's fury in a timely manner so folks can take shelter from tornadoes, fires, flash floods. We have the technology. We have the money. This is the time when we say never, ever again will something like this happen in Texas.
Oh.
And then we ought to send it out to the other 49 states as well.
Steve,
this is ridiculous.
Steve, that's a comforting thought, but it's not reality. We can't just, don't get swept up into the idea that we're just one more government program away from ultimate safety. We are not the ultimate masters of the universe. We are flawed human beings. We cannot prevent all natural disasters. We are never going to prevent all natural disasters. We're never going to prevent dying from flash floods. We may minimize it. We may lessen it, but you have to resist this urge to think that we can prevent all danger. We live in an inherently dangerous world. We live in a world that is flawed. Man has fallen. We can all die at any second. It doesn't matter how much tax money you spend. We're not just one more alert. It's what more could be done? Did you see the list of alerts that we put out? Did you see what time the alerts went out? And did you see how fast the floodwater went? What could you put in place that would alert people who are asleep overnight when the rain starts at 1:30 and the flood hits at 4 a.m.? People's phones were going off. The National Weather Service had all kinds of alerts going out. We were talking about it on WBAP or the station like it that's down there. What are you talking about here? What could we possibly do, Steve?
We were losing tons and tons of people as the automotive age came about. And now we all drive around with airbags and seat belts, which we don't use every day, but they're there if they need them. And people's lives have been saved.
Well, yes, I'm not saying we shouldn't do nothing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
In valleys where river flooding can occur, you put in a multispectrum warning system, whether it's your telephone giving you an alert, whether it's a blue beacon blowing the horn and flashing at night. We have the technology. We have the money.
We can't put horns everywhere. We can't put horns everywhere, sir. We just can't.
Tornado sirens go a long way toward helping people survive.
Okay, but listen, where I grew up, we are so far away from any tornado siren. It's ridiculous, and people still die from tornadoes. People still die from car crashes. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do anything, Steve. And some of your ideas, hey, that's fine. If we can do more, let's do more. But I don't like this idea of, well, never again. No, we're still going to put in those places, and we may mitigate some of the pain from future natural disasters, but it will happen again. We're not God. We are not masters of the universe. This will happen again.
Well, I think we put technology and money to work so that if it does happen again, it was a one-off weird situation. But yes, I have no doubt whatsoever in this country, if we want to stop this kind of stuff from happening again, all we have to do is put our national minds to work, and we can prevent this from happening again.
How do you prevent 4 trillion gallons from raining in 1 hour?
Okay, so along the river road, down along the Guadalupe River, every camp ought to have several blue beacon lights and horns, and people need to call it early. I saw this storm and all of its rain fury drown Starbase, Texas, and slowly make its way north to the hill country. People should have already been saying, red flag, red flag, red flag, people. Get out of
I
the
hear
way.
you. All right. Well, Steve, good call. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you, sir. We'll stick with the phones. Brad and Aubrey. Hey, Brad, you're on WBAP.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
I used to be a counselor at a camp not too far up the river from Dick. And our camp at night had what they're called fire watch people, where you have 4 or 5 counselors basically awake till sunrise. And I'm sort of curious when you ask, I would sort of like to know why the counselors, especially the river guys, aren't addressing this.
I think I have an answer for you. From a lot of the stories that I've been hearing is the counselors were on it. Now the alerts came in overnight, and at 1:30 is when all the serious alerts came when the flash flooding started for like what I hear about Camp Mystic and that sort of area there. Yeah, it started when the floods came. They started waking kids up and moving them, but the river went up something like 26 feet in 45 minutes. So even if you're on top of it, go ahead.
You can move a kid in a minute, though. Next question. These camps are placing their cabins way too close to the water line. The camp I worked at, and we had a 3-inch rainfall one night, and the river rose about 4 or 5 feet, and the cabins closest to the water line got flooded. And this was in 1987, 88, I want to say, and no big deal. We just moved to higher ground and let the water drain out. But anything that close to the river is going to be flooded out that quickly. And these camps are built basically on the river. They're not 15 feet above, 20 feet above, 30 feet above, and these things are going to continue to happen.
I hear you.
To learn from it.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Brad and Aubrey. If the people who own that property want to build a cabin right on the river, knowing that once every 30, 40 years it's going to flood and probably wash it out, I think that's on them. I think if you're a parent who lets their kids camp next to the river, that's sort of a risk that you're willing to take. You didn't know it was going to be the once in every 100 years that this place floods, or once in every 40 years or whatever it was, because I've been seeing passed around like this area is flooded several times, and it just caught a lot of people off guard. 26 feet in 45 minutes. Who could prepare for that? They had all the warnings, and I don't want all the anyway. We'll continue talking about the flooding that happened in Hill Country, because I really don't think that there's anything you could do to prevent all deaths from natural disasters. We just live in a world where good people pass away, and it's not fair. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there. Welcome to the James Show. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. We're just going through one of the greatest tragedies, natural disasters in your lifetime in Texas. Flooding in the Texas Hill Country. The death toll is up to 90 now. We're just continuing with updates as they come in. They're doing the overhead shots of some of these camps now. I just saw an overhead shot of Camp Mystic where a bunch of kids lost their life. And it's up a hill from the river. If I drop my kids off at that camp, I would think there's no way this river could flood high enough to touch this camp. 26 feet, 45 minutes. Terrible stories. You have the story of upriver, I think it was Camp Hunta, where it's a boys' camp. And in the middle of the night, they got woken up by their camp counselors who were keeping watch and keeping up with the weather. And when you get off the bottom bunk, you're splashing your feet on the ground. Within 10 minutes, you're up on the top bunk. 10 more minutes, you're standing in the rafters of your dorm room, and you're hoping the water doesn't get higher because there's no way out. How would you like your kids to go through that over the weekend? Yeah, terrible stuff, isn't it? So God just doesn't promise you tomorrow. None of us, not our kids, not our grandkids. There's no guarantee. And some people, it was their time. Some people, it wasn't their time. And then you just heard from the last caller, well, we just need to put in some more warning systems or more sirens or more. No, I don't think there's anything we can do to mitigate all the dangers of living in a fallen world. What do? You go hug your kids right now. That's what you do. You don't pretend like we're just one more government program away from safety. There's no such thing as ultimate safety. You don't want ultimate safety. You're not going to get ultimate safety. 800-288-9227. If you have any connection to anybody that went through what happened on Friday and over the weekend, please call into the James Show. This is Dolly in Hillsboro. You're on WBAP.
Hi, I was talking to my brother, who's a couple of streets away, and my nephew, half a street away from the highest water.
Oh, my God.
But, yeah, they're all okay. I said, somebody's messing with the weather. They go, oh, no, this is just God. I go, no, this isn't Mother Nature doing this. And so, because I've been watching the chemtrails and geoengineeringwatch.org. Well, so then I get on Zero Hedge, the Texas flood killed 24, and I go down, and halfway down is a map of all the projects they've been cloud seeding to change the weather. If we want to get the government to do something, they should do nothing and let God take care of the weather.
You think cloud seeding and engineering the weather had something to do with this?
I do. I did before I even saw this map.
Sure. You believe in HAARP, like HAARP, HAARP?
Yeah.
You know all that? Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Well, I don't agree with you, but I understand why you think that way, and I have quite a few friends who agree with you. So don't feel bad that I'm not I'm not signing on to the theory. No, I don't believe in chemtrails. Number one, I think you give the government too much credit. They're not capable of such amazing feats of science. They had 3 years to build the Obamacare website, and on the first day it opened up, it signed up 6 people. You've been to the DMV. You know they don't have these abilities. It's the number one argument I have against 9/11 being an inside job. You think the government could pull that off? Are you serious?
You know who can? Satan.
Well, now we agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, Dolly, I appreciate you listening to the show.
You bet.
Thank you. We'll stick with the phones. If you want to add in your story, I'd love to hear it. 800-288-9227. We're going to Don in Dallas. Hey, Don, you're on WBAP.
Before we get into the disagreement part, God bless everybody that went through this tragedy. You said there's nothing that can be done, and you're just on your own.
Don't start off with a straw man. I didn't say there's nothing that can be done. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying you can do everything, that any project that any man comes up with, and there's still going to be people that die from natural disasters.
Of course.
Okay.
But in 1987, that same area flooded badly. People died, and they came up with a proposal to put in a siren system tied to the weather alerts and tied to sensors. And it was decided it was too expensive. They could have Texas is one of the richest states there's ever been in the United States. They have a thing, oddly enough, called the Rainy Day Fund. You don't need sensors all over the state of Texas. You said you can't put up a warning system everywhere. You don't need it. But there's places where there's historic flooding in flood zones where every 20 or 30 years you get a flood and it kills people. And it's real easy to say, hey, we don't need to do that. It's your personal freedom to go be near that flood water. Well, I mean, it's 5 minutes warning, 1 minute warning, and some of those situations would have potentially saved lives.
But it would have to be something that isn't over the radio, that isn't over the TV, that isn't over the internet, that isn't over text messages, that isn't over your phone, because we already have all of that, and everyone slept through it, right? So,
how long have you lived in Texas?
I was born here.
You ever heard a tornado siren go off here? You can hear them for miles.
See, that's funny. That's funny you bring that up, because where I grew up, I never heard a tornado siren. I was so
in my house more than once.
Good for you. You live in Dallas, bro. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. There's no warning system for us. You can't put sirens all over the place. And look, I'm not just
you can't. But in a flood-prone area, where every 20 or 30 years people die, it sure seems to make sense to put them there.
Okay, maybe if we just have like a localized warning system in places that are prone to flooding. I'm not against all precautionary measures. I'm against this. Well, we can just we're just a couple government programs away from safety. We never again. We can't ever let this happen again. No, it's going to happen again. People are going to die from natural disasters. You're going to put in all your warning systems for this flood zone, and if it saves people, good. If it doesn't, there's still going to be people that get knocked over in a single wide trailer by some tornado in the middle of godforsaken nowhere. You can't save everybody.
Correct.
Okay.
But like I said, even a minute or two in some of them situations could have made a huge difference for some people.
Well, I didn't know. Again, I'm not against warning systems, but I don't think you people know what you're asking for with the sirens. You know how often those sirens would go off if you left it up to government? There would be so many false alarms, we would start ignoring them, if not actively taking them down. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that none of this sounds foolproof to me. None of you people sound way too confident in your ability to control life and death and the weather and stuff. And I feel like you're putting yourself in the place of God. And I know you're not, Don in Dallas. I know you have better intentions than that. But the level of confidence that you guys have in your warning system, I just don't share it. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. We have some more great callers sharing their stories and their feedback on the flooding in the hill country in Texas that has already killed 90 of our neighbors. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Our top story of the day is a terrible one, flash flooding in the Texas Hill Country. We have 90 of our neighbors dead thus far. We'll continue with updates from the most devastating natural disaster in a while in Texas. I don't know what this goes back to. But it's a heartbreaking story, especially knowing that how many of these that we lost of our neighbors are children at camp, at summer camp. Is there anyone more innocent than that? Is there anyone who deserves to leave this mortal world less than innocent kids going to summer camp? Good Lord. We're talking about what caused this. We're talking about solutions. We're talking about prevention. We're talking about keeping yourself safe. But the one point that I want to stress here, some of you people sound way too confident. I don't know if you just haven't accepted the fact that we live in a place where each day is a gift, or you want to, you're seeking that. I don't know why that makes you feel uncomfortable. And I don't know, maybe my personal experience, my lived experience has something to do with it. You know, I have cousins that have passed away when I was a kid. I had a cousin that was born premature. She lived to be one. She died right in front of my face when I was like 7, 8 years old. I had another cousin that died when I was 16 and he was 13, and it was just an accident. And so I don't know, maybe it got burned into my cerebral cortex that life is quite finite. We all could just be gone any second now. I don't know. It's sad to remind yourself that you're not safe ever. You're never 100% safe. This is one of the mindsets that caused the COVID panic. The idea that, oh my God, it's the craziest disease you've ever seen. We have to shut down schools and your job and your church and your funerals and your concerts and your restaurants, so you could be safe from a disease that was 99.7% survivable for your age group, even higher for kids. A lot of us need to just accept the fact that we live in a world that has an inherent danger. Breathing means you're one step closer to death, and you're not promised tomorrow. And I understand that's not comfortable. That's scary. But you need to let go of that. And you don't need it to make you do things you wouldn't do if you were in an otherwise rational state of mind. Don't lose your mind over this. This is serious. This is heartbreaking. I get it. But we make a lot of bad decisions when we're emotional. So let's watch that. This is Eddie in Sherman. You're on WBAP. What's up, Eddie?
Hey, James. I have one suggestion, and it's referred to a system of control lakes, or one big lake. Nothing's been said about it, but that's what they did to the Red River, and that's why we have the Denison Dam in Lake Texoma.
So you're another one of the people that is on board with there is people controlling the weather, or at least adding to it?
Well, it really depends. I mean, they ended up burying 3 towns whenever they built Lake Texoma.
Oh, okay. I got that wrong. I misunderstood what you were
I think
saying.
one of them was called Preston, and another few I can't remember. I'm 72 years old and lived in this area for 60 years.
Yeah, Preston's up on Lake Texoma.
Yeah.
Was there more of a town there before they built it?
System of control lakes, or just one big lake, and you can call it Kerr Memorial Lake.
I don't know if there. Look, we have some weird things going on with our watershed down in the Hill Country. I have an aunt and uncle who live on Lake Medina, who, if you zoom in on parts that used to be Lake Medina, it's now called Rio Medina because the lake is pretty much dried up. And, you know, they have different theories on what the problem is or what's happening there. But, you know, we can't control water. We can't control when 4 trillion gallons of water fall in the middle of the night in a very quick fashion in a place that's in a valley that naturally turns into a bowl for water runoff. Well, like I don't know.
Floodplain.
Yeah, right, like a floodplain. But for something
Yeah.
that happens every 30 years, you know, what we're going to go out and we're going to make a system where there's a siren on every valley in Texas. That seems a little excessive. Plus, are those sirens going to go off every time there's a flash flood warning? Because people call for, you know, there should be warning us more. Are you kidding? You guys have no idea how much the National Weather Service tells us there's a warning. Well, oh, there's a severe thunderstorm warning. Oh, there's a severe storm warning. Oh, there's a flash flood warning. Oh, there's a tornado warning or a watch for all these things. We get so many of them. We don't pass every little warning along. And if we did, you would turn it off. Like I've already turned off the emergency warnings that come on my phone because I'm tired of getting them. So even if we did, would it still work, or would we ignore them, or would we try and sleep through them? Because this is the 10th time this year we've heard those sirens go off and there's never been a flood, or it's the 20th time in the last decade we've heard that sirens and there's never really a flood. So there is no fail safe. So these people acting like, well, we just need to throw up some sirens and, you know, this could never happen again. Well, we could throw up some sirens. We may save a few lives, but this will happen again. Elizabeth, you're next up. You're in Eleptra? Where the heck is Eleptra?
I'm a suburb of Wichita Falls.
Oh, okay.
My family and I have lived here for 2 years. I'm nearly 50, and most of those years of my life I spent in the San Antonio area. The greater San Antonio area, all the way up into the hill country, and especially south of San Antonio, floods like this very often. Every time we get a tropical storm and some kind of high pressure from the northwest that keeps it in place. 26 feet in 45 minutes or an hour is par for the course for systems like that, if that's indeed what happened. I'm ignorant of this particular incident because the holidays, my family and I have been out and about not paying attention. That said, historically, and I've witnessed back in 99 and either 2002 or 2003, plus 2017, the same exact weather pattern showed up and dropped like similar amounts of rain before. There are alarms, there are signals, there are red flags, there's all kinds of safety measures that are in place from New Braunfels all the way to Seguin, all the way up to over there out to Medina. I'm with you. I don't think there's anything more that we can do that hasn't already been done. I think people need to recognize that there's a basin there. I mean, there's a reason why we call it the rim. That's the reason why
Elizabeth?
Fort Alamo was in where it was.
Yeah. Hey, Elizabeth, I'm out of time for this segment, but I'm so glad you called because that's exactly what I wanted to hear is someone from that area explain what the situation is. And yeah, and that's kind of been my understanding. We do have quite a robust warning system, and y'all need to get it out of your mind that we are not just a few sirens away from total safety. And it's not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to be doomy. I'm just not going to lie to your face. You're never safe, and bad things are going to happen to innocent people every day. So you know what you should do? How about you appreciate your kids today? How about you appreciate your life? You know, there was a lot of adults that passed away in this too. How about you just make the finite nature of your mortality make you appreciate this Monday a little bit better, and tomorrow, and the fact that you're going to get to see your kids at Thanksgiving and Christmas gets a little more special when you put it in this context. Coming up next, special guest, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. It's a terrible day in Texas history. Flash flooding in the Texas Hill Country has killed 90 of our neighbors thus far. We still have plenty missing. We're going to continue with updates from the devastating natural disaster throughout the show. But joining me right now is Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Welcome to the James Show. No applause today. It's too somber of a day. But where are you and how are you addressing the situation right now as Attorney General, Ken? Oh man, we needed that. That hasn't even come up. We've been talking about this for an hour and a half, and I haven't even talked about some of the scammers and the people that take advantage of vulnerable people after a natural disaster. Man, that completely slipped my mind. So, what should the people be looking for? What do you see as a prosecutor? God, I had not heard of that either. Is that new, or am I just naive? All right, we're talking with Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton about the catastrophic floods in the Hill Country. So, what is the state's responsibility in responding to this? So, in your legal background, do you see this and just see a whole bunch of, as soon as the recoveries happen, you expect a bunch of lawsuits to be flying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we've all seen some of the scams that happen with people raising money or GoFundMe accounts or GiveSendGo accounts, or we're going to take some supplies down to the disaster area, and they're just taking the money here. But I had not heard the people saying, "Hey, if you want to find your kid, send me some money and I'll help you." That some people are just sick, Ken. All right. Well, if you catch anyone doing that, lock them up, throw away the key, and make Texas a better place for it. Ken Paxton, I know you got to get back to work. Thank you, sir. All right. That's your Attorney General, Ken Paxton, on the James Show. We'll continue with, I've got some good calls. I've got some good tweets and Facebook messages. A lot of people want to reach out and give their take on the devastating flooding in the Hill Country. If you want to add your story, 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Our top story today, of course, the flooding in the Hill Country here in our own state. 90 people now dead, still dozens missing. Terrible story all the way around. We're talking about what happened. We're talking about can it be fixed? Can it be minimized? Can we do anything? Can we do nothing? 800-288-9227. Don't worry, we'll get to some of the media reaction here, but I don't know. We have a lot of good calls. I still have some updates coming in that I'm expecting before the end of the show. We might just talk about the whole political reaction to this tomorrow. Just let's give it a day off and not talk about whose fault it is or whatever from a political angle. But from a non-political angle, I got a message here. I'm live streaming on X right now as WBAP. So if you want to go see and judge me on my appearance, whatever. Some person named Marquis responded that we are not hearing from Mystic Camp family owners except the usual, our prayers are with everyone, etc. Is why there was not an evacuation plan in place. Example below is not an evacuation plan. 750 children at this camp, and this was the best they could do. Where was SO and EM on this? I don't really know what that means. But there was a screenshot of a story where one of the counselors was explaining the situation, how 1:30 in the morning, rain started coming through the dorm room. She woke the girls up and tried to keep them in good spirits, tried to get them into RVs and whatnot, and it just didn't turn out good for some of these kids. The response to this by Sonia was kind of perfect, though. Sonia, responding to this on X, said, "Please stop. It was an extraordinary event in the middle of the night. No one could plan for that. Just shut up." But then Marquis comes back and posts like the evacuation plan and word of mouth and making fun of it and whatnot. Can we just stop? Sometimes it's nobody's fault. Sometimes you just have to accept we live in a world where good people die for no reason. Innocent people are taken from us for no good reason that could be prevented. And I understand the desire to have some system in place that could ultimately keep us safe because you want to feel safe. Well, there's a limit to how safe you should feel living on planet Earth. And it's not 100%. That's for damn sure. 800-288-9227. This is Shirley in Alliance. You're on WBAP.
Hi. Yeah, I'm with Sonia on that one. I just can't believe it. But anyway, one of the things I don't hear anyone talking about is the fact that, my family's all in aviation for like 50 years, right? Lots of things. Anyway, certainly they talk about weather a lot. And one of the things that they told me 40 years ago was interesting. I thought, no, really, but that makes sense. They said that the weather patterns that we deal with today, they are not organic. And the reason they're not organic is because we have thousands of lakes in the United States alone that we built that did not used to be there. And we have dammed things up so that we can irrigate. We've done all these things. They do it all over the world. And so these natural patterns that would have been there, they're not really there. Okay, so what we're dealing with isn't nearly as simplistic as a lot of people might put it down to. To go back and say 100 years ago, patterns were like this. Well, you can't even use those statistics and come out with a reality because we have changed the reality of where the water goes and where the wind patterns go. So I think people like to believe it's a United States issue, but you need to ask yourself, how do you think those Chinese balloons got here in the United States? Well, the weather doesn't stop at the border, does it? So, you know what I'm saying? This is a worldwide issue. This is a.
Well, I thought you were, listen, Shirley, I thought you were going to go down, well, they've been cloud seeding and chemtrails. We had that in the last hour. But no, you brought up something that I don't think I've seen anyone else bring up, so that's kind of cool. I just know.
Realistic, it's just the real weather patterns that we have. Do we have augmented some things? And
and I'm saying that.
And that's what we're
right. That's an interesting take because we only have one natural lake in Texas, Caddo Lake.
Yeah. Right, that's right.
Yeah,
right.
And the rest of them, you're right. Whether it's Tawakoni or Louisville,
or lifetime when I remembered that story that they had been telling me those years, I thought, and then these dams broke, 20 years ago, and people who used to live on pig farms live on lakes now, right? I realized, oh wow, that is true, that we changed all the water where it goes, and so we get less predictable patterns
Yeah,
of weather.
you know what? I don't know if making like 1 or 2% of our surface area be standing water really pumps up the rain enough to say that, part of this is even our fault or man-made. I bet you we had torrential flooding 200 years ago. I bet you the
did.
Indians and the
Yeah.
dinosaurs were dealing with it.
We did. Yeah, we always did, but it's just a very complicated issue. And I think people they're pointing the fingers and whatever. It's just a real simplistic. When I hear the explanations, I go, that's way too simple. It's more complicated than that. And some of it does come down to, if you've ever been caught in a hard water situation, which I have in a river under a waterfall, you will understand that you don't control anything, okay, at that point. So, if you've been swept away once, you won't ever forget it.
Yep. All right. Hey, Shirley from
yeah.
Alliance, great call. Thank you very much. You brought up something no one else has. And even though we've been talking about this for an hour and a half, there's a lot more to say, apparently. I've got some great callers lined up. Lisa, Ron, Jerry, Brent. Y'all stay on hold. If you want to get in, you can get in Shirley's spot. 800-288-9227. More stories and thoughts about the natural disaster that just took 90 of our neighbors here in Texas in the Hill Country coming up on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I got to tell you, these shows like this bum me out. Imagine just talking about this for 3 hours. I'm going to be so sad by the time the show's over, but it's just something you got to go through, something you got to just bug up and go through. We live in a fallen world. Tragedies happen. Innocent people, even children, are taken from us with no justification, no reason, and no one really to blame. I think that's one of the reasons I hear so much turmoil over here on the phones. Is it's hard to admit that sometimes there is no one to blame. Sometimes you could do everything right, and bad things still happen to you. But stick with the show. You're going to hear some comments from Donald Trump yesterday when he was on the tarmac. We have another good guest coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. He does talk radio down in New Orleans, but lives over closer to the area of the flood, just a few blocks away. And so just stick with me. Got a lot of great show left. This is Jerry and Heath. You're on WBAP.
Hey, I just want to tell you, I've been running the camp for 40 years, and it's a big responsibility. And I think all this guessing about whose fault it is and all that, it's just nothing but guesswork until we hear from that camp and what sort of safety procedures that they have in place and what sort of warnings they have. They don't need sirens, and I mean that would be nice, but you have weather radios. You have, I mean, at our camp, all of our employees and counselors and things, they have radio communication with each other. We have at night when it's dark and things are quiet, we have a sheriff there when the sun goes down until the sun comes up that is watching everything from people coming in. I mean, you can imagine anything could happen at night, and you need someone there. I mean, until there's so many steps that you can take. But that being said, 20-something feet of water in a few minutes, I mean, that would have to be the best evacuation plan for 700 kids. You know, that quick of water rising, how do you move 700 kids? You'd have to have just buses sitting there the whole time. I mean,
Well, Jerry, where's your camp?
It's up at Oklahoma at Lake Murray.
Okay, so you're actually on a waterfront like most camps.
We're on the waterfront, but we don't have that flood. Our thing would be more tornadoes and that, or just someone coming in there, you know, that shouldn't be there. And we have, you know, that's our main concern. But you know, the lake where we're at is not fed by a river, and it would be like it would go way over the dam before it ever got it where we were.
Okay, but look,
I have a sheriff, but I have someone that knows the area. So you know, if it's raining and thunderstorming and all that, we have people up. I mean, we're not going to sleep. And I'm not trying to cast any dispersions on these people. I have no clue. But,
well, I bristle at the idea that people that are sending messages and you see them online that are criticizing the camp as if the camp is owned by some bloodthirsty individuals that don't care if a bunch of children and their teenage counselors die. No, they already have a built-in incentive to keep people safe. It's not like they don't care about it. They're not inhuman sociopaths. Can you at least wait until the bodies are room temperature before you start throwing darts at people? I don't know. It's just
exactly. I just think it's all rank speculation. Well, you should have done this, should have done that. But
easy to say now, isn't it?
27 or 28 feet of water in a few minutes. That's like a tidal wave. I mean, how far we don't even know how far they had to go up just to beat that 28 feet yet. How do you walk 700 people out? Actually, they may have done a pretty good job because the 700 were there, and you know, X amount unfortunately died, and that's the tragedy, of course, and it's awful. But look how many they got out. I mean, we don't know anything now. It's complete just armchair quarterbacking. It's all it is, and people don't realize the amount of what you have to do to look forward into the future and what could happen at these camps, and do your dead level best to stay out of it. I mean, it keeps me up at night.
Well, it's good to hear from a guy who was actually in the business. This is Jerry and Heath. I appreciate your call, sir.
Thank you.
Brent, Lake Weatherford, you're next up on WBAP.
You know, the thing that bothers me in general, like at Paldura Canyon, there are signs everywhere that says, you know, they're beautiful camping areas, not just there, but all over the United States, probably the world, that they warn you, if there's a big event. And it's no different down there. Look how high the cliffs are. At some point, all that got created coming down there, and I'm agreeing totally with you. There's no way this wasn't a 100-year flood like the president said. This is a 500-year flood. It's a very freak of nature, and you can't predict those things. And either you shut them down, for your hard cold people, or you figure out something to do. But take the ones that are so many feet above the or below the river, that there's just no way you can predict these events like this. I live on a lake. We have plenty of time to, if we flood or whatever. But when you're on a river and you look on both sides of you, those cliffs were created for a reason. Possum Kingdom Lake, a beautiful lake, they dam that sucker up, and it's pretty freaking deep. And they have a watershed all the way from New Mexico, all the way to Possum Kingdom Lake. So people need to be aware of their whereabouts, and just anywhere you go, wherever you camp. Like I said, I had some friends that almost got killed in Palo Duro Canyon because, the arroyos that were there, the grade differential produces a lot of rain.
I hear you. I've never seen those signs. I haven't been to Palo Duro Canyon or spent a lot of time in canyons, period. I mean, I'm from East Texas, and I've lived most of my adult life here. So kind of flat. We don't have to worry too much about, being in a valley. It's hard to find a hill around here. But I'd never seen those signs. Do you know if they have them in the valley, or at least the area where this flooding happened outside of Kerrville?
No, sir, I have no idea. Yeah. But I do know they have them at some places. Have a lot of Big Bend and some of the camping places like there. You can produce a lot of rain, with steep slopes, upstream from you really, really quick, and that's what happened here.
You know what?
A lot of grade differential in that watershed, and it was just a big event, and that's unfortunately that's what happened to all those poor children and all the other people that were camping.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Brent Lake Weatherford on WBAP. Tough story today, but listen, that reminds me, I saw this being passed around over the weekend on social media. I think it kind of fits here. This is history just kind of repeating itself. This is a report you'll recognize William Shatner's voice, Captain Kirk, talking about when this same river flooded in 1987.
On Friday morning, July 17th, 1987, the small town of Comfort, Texas, became the scene of a heroic rescue and tragic loss. Much of the footage you will see was taped on that day by the banks of the Guadalupe River.
So this isn't like a completely unknown phenomenon, but you people don't be so sure that we can prevent all these disasters, or we're just one more government program away from ultimate safety for our children. Just appreciate your day a little more. Just admit we're not masters in the universe. We're not God. We're not in control of this. In fact, we are all at nature's whim at any time. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. Coming up, you will hear Donald Trump on the tarmac yesterday being asked about the flooding and see what his response was. It's The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Still coming up in this last hour of the show. I have 4 sound bites from Donald Trump talking to the media on the tarmac. As the first comments you'll hear about him addressing the floods in Texas. And I hesitate to play it because it necessarily gets political, and I kind of want to hold that off as long as possible, but I know that's coming soon enough, and we'll definitely be talking about that more tomorrow. Also, coming up in the next segment, we have a fellow named Christian Blood. It's a cool name, but he's a news director at a news talk station down in the Hill Country, and he lives just not far from where the flooding happened. So you'll get an eyewitness description of what he's seen over the weekend. So stay with us here. This is Lisa in Euless on WBAP.
Hey, James. This may sound kind of basic, but I was wondering about like maybe the camp near the floodplain to kind of mandate kids bring floaties and or if they have life vests or jackets available per cabin, kind of like when you're in an airplane and they have the oxygen mask ready to drop based on the altitude. And
well,
that.
I think that's a decision that needs to be left up between the owners of the camp and their insurance company. And, so many people just have this knee-jerk reaction. We just need one more regulation or one more program or spend some money on this one thing. And so many of these problems could be addressed much better by the private sector. I'm not even convinced we need the whole NOAA weather system. We have radars in the private sector that can, track weather and send out alerts. I mean, WBAP sends you out alerts.
Yeah, and actually kind of what Jerry had said earlier, who had ran the camp for a while, I kind of was just thinking about, clearly when the campers are sleeping, you have a dispatch person, rotating where no one's sleeping, kind of like the night watch. And then they've got radio, and at least there could be a little bit more of and then maybe the warnings could just be site specific for the camp. It doesn't have to be for the whole region of Texas. It could be just for that camp. So those are just a couple things. And I'm hats off to the folks who rescued all the other ones. I mean, that's just really, it's tragic, but I'm glad that there were a lot of survivors, and thanks to the rescue team.
Yeah, you know what? That's a job that really means something. Like if Noah's Ark was a new thing, like, hey, we're about to be flooded again, and we've got to take someone from every profession, to rebuild society after the water secede, they wouldn't bring talk radio hosts. We have no utility to the real world. I mean, they wouldn't bring artists. They wouldn't bring people who are jugglers or whatever, but they would bring farmers, they would bring ranchers, and the guys that are making the rescues, those fellas. Those guys would be on the Ark long before your favorite talk radio host. But all good ideas, Lisa. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Ron, Stephenville. Did y'all get any flooding over there?
No, not that we know of.
Well, you're just upriver from all that, right? Well, but I mean,
no.
I know it's way upriver, but
we're nowhere near that area of the rain. We got the rain, but we didn't get any flooding like that. I would say, I was talking about the owners and the owners. The director, who is the owner, who's been with that camp for like generations, he lost his life in it trying to save people. So his wife was found home safe, but he lost his life in it. So it's not just people trying to go, well, why is this? Why is that? Why is this? He was actively involved in trying to save people.
I really find it distasteful how many people just automatically assume, well, the guy that's in charge must not care about kids. Of course he does. And if he lost his life trying to save kids, he just proved how little of a monster he is. He's a damn hero. I mean, he's just been giving kids the greatest summer of their life for the last how many decades. And, there's been a rush, to sort of vilify people in a situation like this. Like the lady that got in trouble in Houston. Did you hear about this?
Yes.
Oh, you have? All right.
Yeah, about saying, one of them was a pediatrician that was saying that it was all Trump people and they deserved it and everything else.
Here you go.
Thankfully, she got fired.
Let me play that because I have this ready for tomorrow's show. But you know what? If you're going to bring it up and give me such a great setup, Ron, let me clue in the other people.
Best.
Hang on.
No, I'm probably going to get canceled for this, but Camp Mystic is a whites-only girls' Christian camp. They don't even have a token Asian. They don't have a token black person. It is a all white, white only, conservative Christian camp. If you ain't white, you ain't right, you ain't getting in, you ain't going. The parents of these children who are choosing, and it is a choice in 2025, it is definitely a freaking choice to go into East goddamn Texas and to make a all-white enclave, exclusionary just for white people, with all the black people in East Texas, with all the Hispanic people in East Texas.
It's funny how she.
So yeah, that's just a clip of that. But Ron, I don't think a whole lot of people have heard that, and I don't want to taint the water and turn this into something political today. We'll do that tomorrow. But yeah, that's the behavior pattern you just described.
And they, in one of the interviews with people that were camp counselors there, they had Hispanic names. So that person in Houston, which, I don't know how really smart they are, but they are just race baiting. And there was nothing to do with race. It has to do with nature will have its way. And we are not guaranteed tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron. I think that should be the big takeaway here. Not that, oh, we need another siren, or, oh, the racists are getting their comeuppance, or, oh, we have chemtrails or global warming or something. Can we put the politics aside and just admit that God's in control and we're not? We ultimately don't control our own safety, our own lives. We don't have tomorrow guaranteed. It's not guaranteed you'll make it home from supper. I remember me and my wife were shook because she has a coworker who's in her 30s, and her husband died coming home from work. Someone just veered into oncoming traffic, hit head on, and he's gone, and he's in his mid-30s, and now there's 3 kids that don't have a father, and he didn't do anything wrong, and no one knew that his life was going to be over. When he woke up that morning, he's a 35-year-old guy thinking, I'm just going to have a normal day, and I'm going to be here for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I'm going to get to dance at my kid's wedding and all that, and you're not guaranteed any of it. And maybe if we thank you very much for your call, Ron. Maybe if we just did put our walls down, admit we're vulnerable, and digest that you're not in control, God's in control, it would humble us a little bit. You know what you would do? You would appreciate your Monday a little bit more. You wouldn't feel so downtrodden. Oh, the world's not fair. Oh, this is so bad. Or, oh, my life's terrible. No, you're lucky to be here. We only get a short time on this rock. We get to share it with 8 billion other people. So we're all just having this shared experience together. And it's by luck that wasn't us, that wasn't our kids, that it wasn't our grandkids. You are not guaranteed tomorrow. And there's not just one more government program or regulation away from ultimate safety. We are all at the whims of nature, and nature's God. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, Christian Blood. Talk radio host from the area down there of the flooding, and he'll tell you what he saw over the weekend. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. A top story of the day, of course, the flash flooding in Texas that's killed 90 of our neighbors. One of the worst natural disasters in Texas in your lifetime. We're continuing with updates as they're coming in, but we're starting to get to that scary part where we move from the rescue phase to the recovery phase. And my next guest has a little more insight because he's a little closer to it. Christian Blood, news director at KTSA, a fellow radio guy. Welcome to the James Show. How far away are you from this tragedy? So what are we getting wrong? What are you seeing that the media is not reporting? Well, I'm glad you got to add that in. So, Christian, I hear that outsiders can be a problem in a situation like this. Do you have a problem with people coming in to take pictures or add it to their TikTok or thinking they're helping and they're really just being a burden? All right, you're hearing from Christian Blood. He's a news director at KTSA radio station down in San Antonio, but he lives in Kerrville. So, did the town get any problems or flooding? Well, it looks like y'all have what we have in Dallas, a natural built-in floodplain on our river. So when things swell up, there's going to be parks and places that are just designed to get gobbled up. So it looks like y'all did okay. But where the horrible flooding is, that's not far from you guys at all. Yeah, that's a great point. Nothing you can do about that. Christian Blood, I appreciate you calling in down from Kerrville. Thank you, sir. All right, coming up next on the James Show, we're going to play Name That Artist. We'll have a little bit of fun today, and I'll give away some Goo Goo Doll tickets, and we also have some great callers lined up for you, and I still got to play you Donald Trump on the tarmac talking about the flood, so don't go anywhere. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, homeowners, James Parker here for Blue Ribbon Roofing. Obviously, we're not out of storm season yet. And if you have any doubts about your roof, or hey, maybe you just want to get the ball rolling because you're going to sell your house and you want to get a better inspection report or whatever the excuse is, call Blue Ribbon Roofing. Have them come out, check out your roof. The inspection's totally free, and then you get your options after that. If everything's fine, then they just give you a high five and leave you a folder full of information for the day when you need Blue Ribbon Roofing. But if they find something wrong, we'll talk about fixes. Is it just going to be a patch? Is it going to be a whole new roof? And if you need some help with your insurance, they can help you with that too. I know the claims process can be very disappointing. You don't go through it all the time. They've done it thousands of times. They know who to call, what to say, what needs to be on the paperwork, and how to get it done for you. Go to blueribbondfw.com. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Top story of the day is the flooding, hill country in Texas. Body count's up to 90 now. And look, we'll talk more about the politics and the causes and the whys and the media reaction and make fun of the people who are freaking out about it and getting themselves fired and torpedoing their career. But we're just focused on the tragedy today and the human tragedy that happened to our fellow neighbors just a few hours south of here. And then we'll play Name That Artist. I'll play you some Trump cuts. But first, we'll talk to Ariel in Dallas. You're on WBAP. Hey, Ariel.
Hey, James. I'm calling because you mentioned history repeats itself. Well, back in 2015, the Blanco River overflowed over Memorial Day weekend. So 14 people died on that flood, and over 850 people were rescued.
Why are you crying? Did you know someone in that?
I lived there in San Marcos, and at the time, and I lived really close off the river. I was fortunate to be on, catching my breath. I was up on the second floor of the apartment, and so I lost my vehicle, but like a car is a car. So, but I helped clean up a lot of those houses. It's unbelievable, like the cleanup process too. So much soot and a lot of that. Just trying to pick up after the devastation. But I mean, that happened overnight as well. It happened between like 10:45 and 11. It rose 5 feet every 15 minutes.
Whoa.
So yeah, it happened overnight, because you wake up to all these car alarms and you're like, what's going on? And everybody's cars, the water was so high that it overflowed.
Well, Ariel, did you hear a siren? How did you?
No, I woke up to the cars. You know, like
okay.
It happened overnight. We didn't have any warning. There was no. I remember hearing the stories because it was Memorial Day weekend. It was another holiday weekend. People came out to Wimberley and like were in those Airbnb homes. I remember this man lost his wife and 2 kids, and they found him 11 miles down the river. And he said, like, I pray to God, if you want me to tell my story, you know, keep me alive. And they found him, and they found his dog as well. And he's actually out there helping this flood. Jonathan McComb.
Oh my God.
The guy.
Well, let me tell you something, folks. I don't take life flippantly, but if I'm in a situation like this and my wife and all my kids die, I'm killing myself. I can barely stand listening to these stories, much less have it happen to me. You know, we think I'm a strong person or I could put up with the whole lot. I don't know. I don't think I could put up with that. I don't think I could put up with a lot of this. There are some things that are just flat out devastating and more than the average person can handle, and I don't think I could handle this. Let me do one more call here. Michael looks good. Hey, this is Michael in Weatherford. You're on WBAP.
Hey, Bud. This is going to be an unpopular opinion, but have you ever heard the word of under the phrase wildland urban interface?
Y-line? Is that what you said?
Wildland.
Wildland urban interface. Oh, okay. So like when you build a subdivision out in the middle of nowhere and you have to deal with coyotes eating your dogs. Yeah.
Well, that's a firefighting term. That goes with like out in California, people want trees and all this stuff all around in nature, and they can't get any kind of insurance because there's no fire protection or, you know, whatever. But and they're urged to say have a 100 foot radius around and blah blah, and don't plant this and that. Well, we might have to rethink our whole of people wanting to live on the river. You know, oh, that's nice, because every year the river floods. It's not going to change. We have a freeze every year. It's not going to change. We got more things being built, more runoff from subdivisions and concrete and new towns being built, and it's got to go somewhere. It goes into creeks, goes into rivers, goes into lakes. Well, and I'm not shaming anybody. We might have to rethink this whole deal, move stuff back a little bit, have more I don't know, more runoff prevention. I mean, you can have all the sirens in the world, but
Well, I think what you're giving is good advice. Like, you should have a plan, or at least be aware of how dangerous your situation is if you're going to be building out next to a river or somewhere else out in nature that's a little less controlled than an urban environment. But my thought on that stops if you want to like outlaw people or make certain restrictions or Okay, cool. No, we're on this.
No, but you might have to just change some laws, because like one guy read, well, he said on the internet, he said, well, they had a siren, but even if they did, I was an hour away working. Well, we might just, I mean, things are going to change, and I don't like some things, but man, things are changing. The river's getting wider. They're getting, with that flood, they're getting wider. They're going to be deeper because of this flood. And dams, people are going to start, they dam stuff up. I don't know, but there might,
Michael,
you might have to have it wider.
Sounds like good advice. I thank you for calling. You're going to be my last caller on this. All right. We're going to play Name That Artist after that. All right. Thank you. That's Michael in Weatherford. If you want tickets to go see Alabama Shakes, actually, I would like to see Alabama Shakes, September 27th, Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory. And all 10 of these artists, you might want to call in. All right, so that's your montage. If you can name all 10 of those artists or something close, call in right now. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. If you want to win Alabama Shakes tickets, we will give them away in the next segment, but you got to call in right now. 800-288-9227. We'll play the montage again. You can write them down, and then we'll give you a little prize to end the show today. I'm James Parker. Name That Artist next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. We're going to take a little break from talking about one of the worst disasters you've seen in your lifetime here in Texas to play Name That Artist. We've got great tickets to give away. Alabama Shakes, I'm a big fan. They're going to be in town at the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory on September 27th. I know that sounds way far in the future, but it's just a couple months away. And we're doing it from Name That Artist. If you want to go, call in right now, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227 for all you contestants who are already on hold. Get out a piece of paper or a notepad file on your phone and type in the name to all 10 of these artists. All right, so let's go to our first contestant. This is Tom in Richardson. Are you ready to play Name That Artist, sir?
Yes.
All right, let's hear what you got. Ready, go.
Well, I don't know any of the songs.
Do you know any of the artists?
No.
Do you know the band Alabama Shakes?
I do know the Alabama Shakes.
You don't sound like you're in their target demo. You sound like you're, no offense, but you sound like you're much older than the average Alabama Shakes fan.
Yeah, I probably am. I'm 76.
What the heck? Oh, you know what? Let's give it to him. You're 76 and you like Alabama Shakes? How are you so cool? I bet you my parents don't know who Alabama Shakes is.
Well, I'm sorry.
Me too. What do you keep up with alt rock?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're not confusing it with the band Alabama from the 80s?
No, I'm not.
All right, are you in the music business?
No.
There's no explanation. You just keep up with cool music up to age 76.
That's right.
Oh, damn. Well, then you deserve him in my book. For those of y'all that don't know, Alabama Shakes has been out for, like 10 years? And they've been on Saturday Night Live and all kinds of fun stuff. And they just rock. I'm surprised they're not bigger, actually. This is one of their big hits that came out. What is this, like 10 years ago? 13 years ago this came out. This is Hold On. So Tom's our big winner.
There's my heart. There's my soul. I didn't think I'd make it to 22 years old.
That's me and Brittany singing there. I'm not on the remix. But, all right. Well, take him, Tom. Take him. That's a first for the James. It's a special day. This is not a normal day on the James Show. Let me play you a couple of clips from Trump before we get out of here. He was stopped on the tarmac this weekend and asked, the media was terrible. There was only 8 questions. 5 of them were about the flood, and 4 of them were just ridiculously politicized. So let me just play you the little preamble statement that he gave before the questions came in, and we'll deal with the political stuff tomorrow, okay?
Thank you very much. We've been in touch with Governor Abbott and very close to Governor Abbott and everybody in Texas. Kristi Noem has, as you know, been there and will continue to be there. And we're working very close with representatives from Texas, and it's a horrible thing that took place. Absolutely horrible. So we say God bless all of the people that have gone through so much, and God bless the state of Texas. It's an incredible place.
Thank you. And you can see, we'll go over this tomorrow, but he tried to not politicize it. He was asked political questions and he skirted around it, did the right thing. But the lesson here, we need to just wade through all the garbage, because it's not like who's Trump's fault, or we should have more funding to go to NOAA, or we just need a new siren system, or what was the camp's evacuation policy. No, I think the lesson today that we should all walk away with is that we live in a flawed world, that this could happen to any of us at any time. You could get in a car wreck on your way home from work today, and your family's going to be missing a seat at Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so don't think, well, if we could just pass one more program or vote even harder, then we'll be safe. No, go ahead and admit it, and then appreciate your day, because you never know when you might be done with this world. Those people didn't know last Thursday that was going to be their last day. So what do? Make today count. Hug your kids, hug your grandkids, give them a call your mom. You don't know. So just admit your own fealty and let that make you appreciate the life that you still have. I'm James Parker. Stick around. Coming up next, Mark Levin. This has been The James Show. News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.